Let's go to CNBC, Brian, where we're going to talk about pending home sales.
All right.
Pending home sales in April slumped to lowest level since the start of the pandemic. End of show. You guys see you next week. Bye. Pending home sales in April fell to their slowest pace since April of 2020. That sucks because that was right after the whole shutdown thing started. Sales were down in every region of the country, but they fell hardest in the Midwest and the West. Great, thank you very much. And higher mortgage rates had an effect. Duh. The average rate on 30-year fixed mortgage ended March at around 6.9% and then took off, hitting 7.5% by the end of April, according to Mortgage News Daily. So, signed contracts on existing homes dropped 7.7% in April compared to March, which brought it to the slowest pace since April of 2020.
I mean,
that sucks.
It's an ongoing story when we see the market, the rates start going up. I mean, sales and contracts start slowing down.
But inventory's been up. So we've been talking about inventory too. So where the active inventory in April of 2024 was 30% higher than April of 2023. So we have 30% more homes, and we have a 7.7% drop in pending home sales. That is bad news. That is indicative that
so it's like whenever we get the inventory and the rates are high, hey, many people can still be able to afford, though.
There's only a couple of ways that gets undone. So even with more inventory, we're seeing less pending home sales go to contract, okay? That could be because of the price. It could be because of the price and the condition.
Yeah.
It could be just because of the pool of buyers that cannot qualify. I've seen a couple of listings where the what's the private notes at the bottom? What's it called? The notes at the bottom, not the public remarks, but the confidential remarks.
Okay.
Where the confidential remarks say, this house is a red tag because the house is old. You got to go to the city and look at what code violations in order to close. So things like that, where it's like, so this inventory is coming, but it might not be the best inventory is my point.
Yeah.
Okay? Might not be the best inventory. Might need a little bit of work before you can actually close in that place, or you may not be able to close on it in a conventional fashion when it comes to financing.
And that might be something that we start seeing a lot because I feel that the people that are now like, hey, I was holding off till I could not hold off any longer, now can't even probably list it for, on the market actually, and they're going to have to go towards a distressed buyer, somebody that can actually just, be able to pick up their property depending on the condition and how it is.
Well, even here it says, Lawrence Yun, chief economist of NAR, the impact of escalating interest rates throughout April dampened home buying, even with more inventory in the market. But the Federal Reserve's anticipated rate cut later this year should lead to better conditions with improved affordability and more supply. Well, hold on now so fast there, Lawrence. Yes, you can say it on paper that the Fed's anticipated rate cut later this year should lead to better conditions, but it might not as far as prices are concerned. They'll hold steady or go up versus the cost of borrowing money going down, creating affordability. The other issue is that the prospect of measurable home price declines is minimal. So the idea that home prices are crashing didn't happen, won't happen right now. The idea that you're going to get a 10% to 20% price reduction, I'm not seeing that here. And we're in a tight market where there is way more inventory than last year. And still, you're going to see a price reduction, maybe 3%, 5%. I saw one that was 7%, but still on the market for over 60 days, which is way beyond our average market time.
And what I've noticed as well, like with some of the buyers that we have, even when they have a price reduction, it's kind of more like of an opportunity. Like if they reduced it, let me put that back into the table so that I could get that back in a credit. So regardless, even if they bring the price down, people are still over asking to be able to get credits back and be able to, cover some closing costs.
Well, right. Yeah, you're basically gaming the way the deal needs to look, the structure of the deal in order for it to get. I shouldn't say gaming, but they're moving it where it needs to be in order to meet the requirements of them to be able to close. The real surprise here is that even with inventory going up, that the amount of pending sales went down. That was actually a surprise because demand is certainly there. I know here in San Diego, we still have much more demand than we do have supply of homes. So I don't know if it's just a function of the rate environment only or rate environment and quality of home. Because what I see on the market now at the end of, let's say it's mid-June, okay? What I see on the market now in San Diego, that's 45, 60 days old, that's actually April inventory.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what May and June bring us because these are homes that I'm seeing, Ryan. They're older. They need some work, but they're trying to go for market price while still needing 50, 75, 100,000 of, let's say, updating or bringing it current,
So,
bringing it modern.
I'll give you an example of a
Modernizing it.
client right now that's selling a property, 5 bedrooms. It's a nice house. It's just not updated. It's, not kept to the best. I mean, it has great bones. It has great potential. They try to sell it for $899. This was when we got in contract about a month ago. They're going through a divorce right now, so they basically have to sell the house, split profits to them, each one buy their own house. The thing is that they haven't been able to sell it. It's been sitting on the market. It already went through 2 price drops, $869. Now we're at $850. They got to offer in at $840, $810, $825, $800.
Yikes.
Yeah. So hold on. We got into contract while her house is contingent, right? And the house that we got into contract was $865. It wasn't the best, needed a fence. There were some things that were still, not completed, but they liked the property. Luckily, and I think, not every deal goes the way that you want it to go, and not every house is intended for the buyer. There's always something that happens, and I always like to say everything happens for a reason. So in the contract, we're waiting for them to accept the offer. They haven't accepted an offer, so unfortunately, we had to cancel the one that she had open escrow on. She then starts sending me more houses, and she's like, hey, in the month that I got into escrow with the other property at $865, I've seen all these properties that are coming onto the market below $800,000 in the 750s, low 800s that fit her characteristics that we were looking at before, but were higher.
Oh, no.
And now she's like, hey, like, what's happening? And we're like, well, houses stayed in the market for too long. Sellers got too aggressive with the price. They weren't able to get it off. They got into contract, probably fell out of escrow. Buyer couldn't perform. So they have to put it back in the market and then start decreasing the prices to be able to, start bringing in more traction. What I was getting at that is that we're starting to see a lot more houses start to come down in San Diego, but that only happens, for a little bit. While everything comes back into the market, the rates come down, everybody that could affords, buys, and then it comes right back to the same issue.
Yes, that's true. But I think what you're describing also is very niche. It's that this place needs a little bit of love, right?
Right.
I know that I'm kind of projecting here that there are homes that are hitting the market at current market rate, but they still need a lot of work done.
Right.
But that is not the majority of them. So maybe we should qualify that a little bit. In this description you're giving me and the listings I'm looking at, yeah, there are right now a lot of that in this like snapshot in time. That is not always the case because as easy as I say that, 5 miles that direction off camera, there's an entire brand new neighborhood being built. Actually, several brand new neighborhoods being built where there's a university going up. So there's a whole bunch of new homes that are on the way, but aren't on the market right now.
So yeah, it's a complete just like specific example, but I feel that compared to other markets where price points are a lot lower, even if let's say houses drop a little bit here in San Diego or in California in certain markets, that drop is still not significant enough for you to be able to afford it. Even if it's $50,000, KP, you lost $100, $200 off your payment, your DTI is still shot. So I think that sometimes these examples in other markets, it does work. Maybe like, like where prices are lower, like I mentioned, but here in San Diego, even if the prices come down, the rate and the incomes and the people that are trying to buy still doesn't make sense. So unfortunately, they really have to see a significant drop to be able to afford, unless you just have, a really strong income, low debts.
So what would you say as far as your projection? If you were to say like, okay, April, pending home sales went down, what would you say for May? Do you think they're going to also be down month over month and year over year too? Do you think we're going to see a pickup in June? What are some of your predictions? I know this isn't backed by anything that we have data wise, but what do you think's going to happen?
So we're not through just yet with, we're into June now. So I think that, May also had higher elevated rates for the month. We barely started seeing them cool down these last couple of days into last week.
But you guys were closing deals in May. So
yeah. But that's the thing. It was more on the investment side of anything. So not that many residential properties because of the fact that rates got elevated.
But this is a pending home sales article. So they were pending at some point. So I'm saying you're closing deals regardless of whether they were occupied or unoccupied, they're investor or
like
primary
we're not
residence.
closing deals like 10, 20. We're closing like 2, 3.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
So I like, and what I'm seeing as far as like the market, there isn't that much traction. Yeah, we still close deals, but it's for people that have strong income, people that have significant down payment. First-time home buyers, some of my first-time home buyers, unfortunately, have to put the brakes because they can't afford it.
They're on the sidelines
DTI
watching right now.
Shot.
So what do you think is going to happen in May and June then? Do you think that
people that have high equity, good income, low debts are going to have the best chances of being able to get approved? If rates stay even under 7%, that's going to be enough. enough momentum for some people to jump into the market this summer and start making moves. But if you don't have a good, like solid income, low debts, significant down payment, it's going to be very tough for you to compete in certain areas if you really want a property and there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that you need to be very wary of going into the summer. Really button up everything, because if you're looking to really get in, it's not going to be easy because everybody else is also
They're still looking.
Yeah, everybody's still looking. So, and then that's another thing, that there's people that have been patiently looking, prepared, waiting for opportunities, where there's people that are like, hey, now it's my time. But that person's time was already like a long time ago and they're ready to actually buy. You start to find out that if you're jumping in the market, it isn't going to be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. It could be a 3-4 month process.
Yeah.
And you could be in escrow certain times and be like, it falls off because certain things.
You know what it reminds me of? For those of you who are watching out of the area, you know, on some of our on-ramps to our freeways, there's like there's the carpool lane.
Yeah.
And then there's during peak traffic times, there's like there's a line of cars and there's a light that'll turn green to let you go and it's red to make you stop. And the person at the front of the line was there right before you. And there's a lot of cars between that first car waiting for that light to go green and me who's just pulling off the side street to get onto the on-ramp and wait for my turn to get back on the freeway. And that is very similar to what Brian's talking about here.
I think you hit the nail on the head, that it's like the competition is there and you're just going to be waiting in line because there's people that were already approved for the beginning of the year, quarter of the year, and now going into half of the year.
And I know when it comes to like putting a bid on a house, yes, everyone can be making bids at the same time. I'm not literally saying that the traffic light is the same as buying a house. Trolls. But the idea is, if you have the intention to buy a house in 2024, get all your crap together. Get your stuff together. Come talk to Brian. Go talk to Will, and get yourself in line, as we're saying, so that when the market does come around and the inventory stays up, then the home that could be pending next is the one that you got your bid offered and accepted on.
You have to be actively looking. Like actively looking. You can't just be like, hey, like I'm gonna wait for the right one to pop out. No, you're gonna have to go find the right one.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible to have passive success in real estate.
No, at least not right now.
You can create passive income. You just can't have passive success.
Not right now. So I mean that was my 2 cents on
All right, got it.